Hey guys, it's Raul again, and today I'll be sharing with you my first ever unhaul. So I have unhauled some books in the past and never really filmed it. It's always been like one or two books here and there that I've gotten rid of and never really made an actual unhaul video. But today I have a ton of books that I've been wanting to get rid of for a while. I actually pulled a bunch of books off of my shelves about a month and a half or 2 months ago or so and gave a bunch to some of my friends and everything, but I still have some books left over from that pile. I never actually filmed that unhaul because the books I took them off of the shelves and my friends came and picked them up very quickly, so I never actually got to film some of those books that went out. But in the midst of those books, I know I ended up unhauling the Cassandra Clare series, the Mortal Instruments, the 6 books in that series. I enjoyed them at the time, not going to reread them. I passed them along to somebody who really wanted to read them, and I just don't know. Have been falling out of that desire to want to continue on with some of the Cassandra Clare series within the Mortal Instruments because there's so many of them. I actually ended up DNFing the Infernal Devices in somewhere in between book 2. And yeah, I don't know. I had like I said, the 6 books in the Mortal Instruments series and Lady Midnight as well, but because I never finished the Infernal Devices, I never went on to Lady Midnight and just never felt the desire to continue on with that series. So I ended up actually unhauling those. Don't have them anymore because, again, my friend picked them up very quickly after I pulled them off of my shelf. I had an extra copy of 6 of Crows that I handed out as well because I have a signed personalized copy. So those I don't have in this haul, and I honestly don't remember a lot of the other books that were picked up because there were so many and they just got taken away so quickly. But I do have a lot of other books here. I actually today went through my shelves again and pulled out some books that I just know I'm not going to read, series I know I'm not going to finish. I actually on my Instagram have been doing for the last week and a half or so my unfinished series that I've been every day kind of featuring a different series that I haven't finished, and that's kind of motivated me to get rid of some of these series that I know I'm not going to finish. Being able to do that. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I have all of those links and stuff down below. If you want to see those, that progression of those series that I've been kind of featuring on there. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and jump in. No disclaimers or anything. These are books, guys. I don't want them on my shelves anymore. So yeah, I don't have to apologize for not wanting these books or wanting to make more room on my shelves. So let's just go ahead and get started. Now the first series that I am getting rid of is one that it's actually funny because I just recently placed a book outlet order because I got a coupon for my first anniversary with Book Outlet, or actually 4th anniversary with Book Outlet, and they gave me a 15% off coupon because I've been ordering from them for the last 4 years. And this series I actually ordered on my first ever order from Book Outlet, and that is the Pathfinder series by Orson Scott Card. And yeah, this is a series that I had never heard anything about. Never really read anything by Orson Scott Card. I just picked them up because, again, it was just, first Book Outlet order. I had discovered Book Outlet for the first time, and the excitement of just having all of these cheap books, just I picked these up on a whim, and they've been sitting on my shelf for 4 years. I know I'm never going to get to them. It's like a YA fantasy series that I just don't know. If for some reason I was able to finish all of the books on my shelves or all of the series that I have on my shelves, I would pick these up because I'm still somewhat interested in them. But I just don't. I know I'm never going to finish every series I have on my shelf because more series are going to keep coming out, and more books are going to keep coming in, and this series is just going to keep getting pushed back and farther back on my TBR list. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of these because I know I'm just never going to get to them. And you'll probably see a trend in this video because a lot of these books are part of series that, yes, again, I have to teach myself to not purchase entire series before I read the first one because, yeah, I ended up just not enjoying some of them. This next series is another one that I just never even started, and that is the Nightmare Affair and the Nightmare Dilemma by Mindy Arnett. These are the first 2 books in, I believe it's a trilogy, that I'm just not interested really in reading anymore. It's another one of those Book Outlet orders that I just placed on a whim, never heard anything about. I'd read other stuff by Mindy Arnett before, and this series, I guess it's about a girl who is a nightmare. I don't really remember. It's something about a nightmare, and she's some kind of spirit and falls in love with a human boy. I'm just never going to read this series. It's just one of those series, again, that I just picked up on a whim because it was cheap and I had, recognized the author. But yeah, these again, I never feel the desire to pick these up or want to read them, so I'm just going to go ahead and pass these on to somebody who might want to read them. The next series I have is the Delirium trilogy by Lauren Oliver. I've actually read the first 2 books in this series. I've listened to them on audiobook, but again, Lauren Oliver is just one of those authors for me where I just feel like she is interesting, but nothing of hers ever impresses me to the point where I just want to say, wow, you know, I really want to keep this series, or I want to really keep this book on my shelf. She's always kind of middle of the road for me. I haven't heard the greatest things about the end of this trilogy anyways. And if I do end up picking this up, it's going to be on audiobook from my library anyway. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of these because this is a series that even if I do end up wanting to finish, it's not going to be in physical form. I don't really want to keep these on my shelf because I didn't really love this series. I enjoyed it enough to want to continue on to the next book, but then after book 2, I was just like, meh, I don't know. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of these books as well. The next series is one that I just decided today that I'm just going to go ahead and bite the bullet and get rid of, and that is the Great and Terrible Beauty books by Libba Bray. I can't even remember what the series is called, but I have Great and Terrible Beauty, Rebel Angels, and The Sweet Far Thing. I read the first 2 books in this trilogy and enjoyed them enough. I actually loved the setting. I gave the first one 5 out of 5 stars. Really loved it at the time when I read it because, again, I loved this whole 19th century, you know, setting with witches, and I really enjoy that concept, but this is just a series that I just haven't heard the greatest things, especially of this last one. There are a lot of factors that aren't, it doesn't have very good redeeming qualities from what I hear, and I don't know. This book is a chunker too. This last one is more than 800 pages, and I don't know if I want to invest my time in a book that's over 800 pages that I just know isn't going to be a satisfying ending. And yeah, I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to finish this series. So might as well just end up getting rid of these because I don't know. I'm just not interested in finishing this series anymore if it's just not going to finish as strongly as it started. Yeah, so I need to get rid of these. They're taking up way too much room on my shelf. The next couple books are all part of, I guess, the same world. And there's the trilogy by Amanda Hawking. And then there's this other kind of side series, the Kane Chronicles. There's Frostfire and Ice Kissed, also by Amanda Hawking. These are another book outlet, buy on a whim type of order. I kind of heard about this series and this author at the time when I ordered them, but this is another series that's been sitting on my shelf, I think, for a good 2 to 3 years at this point. Again, not going to read this series. I think it's about trolls or something, but it's another series where I've never been gravitated to actually pick it up and read it. I have to stop making all of these kind of impulse buys from Book Outlet. The last, Book Outlet order that I did, I actually made sure that I picked up books that have been on my Amazon wish list for a while, and a series that I've actually really, really wanted to read. Not going to make that mistake of just making impulse buys because I've heard about something or something sounds good. No, just because then I end up unhauling them. I end up never reading them. So this is one that I'm going to end up unhauling. I think my wife wanted to read these books at some point, but I just don't think at this point she's even going to read them either because she's kind of past this whole phase of YA fantasy type books. So getting rid of these as well. I also have some books in the Artemis Fowl series by Ian Colfer. So this series I'm kind of iffy on because I just got these books from, I think it was a secondhand shop, or my wife brought them to me from the thrift store or something. I'm still iffy on this one. If you guys have read the Artemis Fowl series and it's good, please let me know because I can still, be swayed in wanting to read this. It's like a middle grade series. Not really sure what it's about exactly, but I've been interested in these books. I just haven't really heard anybody tell me anything great about them. So if you guys have read these and want me to read them, definitely, try and convince me to keep these because this is a series that I'm still on the fence on. If nobody tells me, yes, the series is great, you need to read them, I'm probably going to end up getting rid of these because, again, I just they were brought to me. I haven't really heard anything else about them, so I'm still on the fence on whether I really want to get rid of these or not. And another series I have is the James Patterson Witch and Wizard series. Yeah, James Patterson, at this point, I've just read so many amazing authors and so many great books by so many amazing authors that just James Patterson just doesn't do it for me anymore. His writing just isn't as great. It's very bland, very quick. There's not much development. And I just feel like I've seen that, in his books recently, and I've kind of realize that reading other way better authors, that James Patterson just isn't the greatest writer. So yeah, getting rid of this series. This is a series that on paper sounded amazing, and once I got into this series and read through the first 3 books, I just realized that it just wasn't for me. I just didn't really like the characters or the plot. At this point, I just really don't remember anything that happens in the series, and I don't think I'm going to end up continuing this at all. So, I mean, they look great. I love these covers, but I'm just going to go ahead and pass these along because it's another series that I'm just not going to finish, not going to reread. I'm also getting rid of my copy of A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This is a series that I've heard really great things about, but the things that people kind of gush about this series are things that I just don't want to read. I hear the rest of the series gets really, really smutty, and I just don't like reading those kinds of books. It's not something that interests me in a series or in a book when you have just like, you know, hot guys doing hot things. That's not going to convince me to read a series. So yes, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this one because I know I'm not going to continue on with this series. The rest of the books in this series, especially the second one, is huge, and I don't think I want to invest my time in such a huge book like that I know I'm just not going to love. This first one I thought was okay when I read it. Which is interesting because I still really want to read the Throne of Glass series. I still want to continue on with that, and I hear that gets kind of smutty with it, like at book 5 or something. But yeah, Court of Thorns and Roses, not one that I really want to read. Don't really like feel the need to keep this on my shelf if I'm not going to continue on with the series. I'm also getting rid of my Charlene Harris books, the Sookie Stackhouse series. I'm sad about this because these books are gorgeous and they look really, really nice on my shelf. I love these rainbow kind of effect that the books have. I found these at Bargain Outlet for like $15, which I was really excited about, but I read book 1, only gave it like 2 stars when I read it, and I hear the series just kind of declines after that. And if book 1 was a 2-star, then it's not really motivation enough for me to pick up the rest of the books in the series. This is again another reason why I think I'm going to stop buying entire series before I read the first one, because yeah, in this case, look at these books, they're gorgeous, they're going out the door because I'm not going to read the rest of these books. Didn't like book 1 at all, so I'm just like not going to invest my time in all of these books no matter how gorgeous they look on my shelf. And yet again, another book outlet impulse buy because this was like $1 something and I needed something to kind of get to that $35 price point to get to the free shipping, and that is Heart of Dread Frozen by Melissa De La Cruz and Michael Johnston. This is another YA series. I think it's about dragons or something, but this is another book that I'm just like, I've never been gravitated to reading this. Again, I just picked it up on a whim, never heard anything about it at all, and yeah, another book outlet impulse buy that I just, you know, needed to throw in my cart in there. But I'm just not interested in this. I've looked at some of the reviews, haven't heard the greatest things about this series. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this at this point. And then another series I'm getting rid of, I picked up at Bargain Outlet because they were super, super cheap, and that is Black City and Phoenix by Elizabeth Richards. These are the first 2 books in a YA trilogy, but it's kind of like paranormal romance type thing. I read the first chapter in Black City, and I just like, I don't know if I'm going to like these. This is another impulse buy. They're gorgeous covers, which is probably why I ended up picking these up, and I think they were like $2 each, so yeah, but not going to pick these up. This is not a series that I feel at this point I'm going to be interested in reading, no matter how gorgeous these covers are, so yes, I'm going to go ahead and pass these on to somebody else. And I have some random books here by Harry Turtledove, which I think are part of a series as well. I've got Rules of the Darkness, and then I have Through the Darkness. I don't know what the series is about. Somebody just like randomly gave me a bag of books one day and these were in there. But yeah, I'm not going to read these. These are huge. This is more of like adult high fantasy, and I've kind of come to the realization that I'm not a big fan of adult high fantasy because they tend to be very long, very dense, and I end up kind of getting very bored with them. So yeah, never going to read these. Don't know what they're about. Never heard anything about them. I'm just going to get rid of these because again, they were just randomly given to me in a bag of books. I'm also getting rid of my copy of Left Behind by Tim Lehane and Jerry Jenkins. I've read this book, really enjoyed it, but there are like 16 books in this series that I just don't have. Not going to continue on with the series. Again, enjoyed it. This is kind of like end times type of Christian fiction book that was good at the time when I read it, but I'm just not going to continue on with this series, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this one. I'm also getting rid of Hide and Seek by James Patterson. Again, this it's James Patterson. It was enjoyable and quick when I read it at the time, but I'm just not going to reread this at all. Which takes me to another couple of James Patterson books. I have Toys, which again, quick read. I got, through it within like a day or two, but again, I'm not going to reread this. I don't really enjoy his stuff again. I don't really have to say it multiple times. And then I also have Along Came a Spider, which is the first book, I think, in the Alex Cross series, but there's so many books in the Alex Cross series that I'm just not going to get to all of these books. I'm not going to read this series. I'm getting rid of this one as well. And then with that, I also have Cross, which is just like a random book in the series that I picked up one day. I think it was at like Goodwill or something. I saw it on the shelf, but I don't know. I just need to stop impulse buying random books that I really, really don't want to read. Also getting rid of Cruel and Unusual by Patricia Cornwell. This is like a random book in this series. I can't remember. It's like the Kay Scarpetta series, I believe, and it's like an adult like crime investigation type series. This is another one that I started reading, never finished. Don't think I'm going to continue on with this series at all, because this is like book 3 or 4 in this series. Also getting rid of Faking Normal by Courtney C. Stevens. This is one that I enjoyed at the time when I read it, but at this point it wasn't memorable enough for me to want to keep on my shelf. I honestly don't remember anything about this book at this point. I read it about a year and a half ago. YA contemporary about a girl who went through, I believe it was a rape or some kind of sexual abuse. At the time when I read it, I enjoyed it, for its content and its kind of message and everything that it was trying to bring. But again, I don't really remember a lot about it, and I really want to pass this on to somebody who might enjoy it a lot more. So yeah, just getting rid of this one. Also getting rid of Fear the Worst by Linwood Barclay. This is another adult mystery thriller. I really enjoyed it at the time I read it, but another one that I just don't really want to keep on my shelf because I'm not going to reread. I enjoy Linwood Barclay's writing and everything, but yeah, I'm going to pass this along to somebody else who might be interested in reading it. I also have The Servant, The Awakening by L.L. Foster, which is the first book in an adult urban fantasy, I believe it was. I did not like this book. I DNF'd this one very early on. This I picked up years and years ago, and I just did not like it. It was getting really smutty like halfway through the book, and I don't like this type of stuff. I'm just going to get rid of this one. I'm not going to continue on with this series. And getting rid of Dear John by Nicholas Sparks. My wife just told me to get rid of it. This is hers. Nicholas Sparks books are her kind of thing. Not going to read this one. I enjoy the movie, every now and then, but yeah, not going to read the book. I also have an extra copy of Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. I have 2 copies of this, so I'm passing on the second one that I have. Also getting rid of Come Home Barkley. This is a children's book that I've had on my shelf for a really, really long time. I picked this book up when I was in elementary school at one of those Scholastic book fairs, and I've had it on my shelf ever since then. And yes, I think I never finished this book when I was a kid. I don't think I'm going to read through this at all. I don't like books about lost dogs, even though I feel like at the end he's going to get found because it is a kid's book. But yeah, this book, the dog on the cover looks like my dog from when I was in elementary school. So I think that's why I never wanted to finish this book, because he looked so much like my dog at the time that I just didn't want it to be a bad ending, even though I feel like it wouldn't have been a bad ending anyways because it's a kid's book. But yeah, not keeping this on my shelf anymore, even though it's been on my shelf for probably 25 years or so. Getting rid of Far, Far Away by Tom McNeil. This is a standalone fantasy. I think, again, another book outlet purchase that I, picked up on a whim. Another book that was $1 or something at the time that I just ended up getting, picking up because I needed something in my cart. I've heard a couple things about it, but not enough to want to pick it up. I read the first chapter and one of those try chapter tags that I did, and I thought it was okay, but not intriguing enough for me to actually want to pick it up. So I've never been gravitated toward reading this book, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of it. Also getting rid of Chill Factor by Sandra Brown. Sandra Brown, an adult kind of mystery thriller type of author. This book was okay when I read it, but I just don't remember anything that happened. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of it. Also getting rid of City of Beasts, or La Ciudad de las Bestias by Isabel Allende. This was part of a buddy read that I was doing with a couple of friends here on BookTube, and I ended up DNFing this book because I just couldn't get through it. I don't know. I just didn't really enjoy it. Not going to continue on with the series. I'm glad I ended up never picking up the rest of the books in this series because, again, this is another one where I didn't really love book 1, so I'm glad I never wasted my time picking up the other ones because, yes, again, I'm unhauling this one Didn't really love it. Also getting rid of Too Close to Home by Lindbergh Barclay. Again, Lindbergh Barclay, I really enjoy his books. I just like, you read them once, you don't really want to read them again because it's, you know, story is done. They're all standalone, you know, adult mystery thrillers. So I'm passing this one along. It was really enjoyable at the time when I did read it, you know, very atmospheric and stuff. So passing this along. Also getting rid of Scarlet by Thomas Empson. This is an adult kind of vampire story, and I really enjoy vampire stories, but this is one of those, again, randomly I picked up at Book Outlet for like $1 or $2 or something. Never heard anybody talk about this. I don't know if I want to even read this series, so I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I'll have to look into this one a little bit more, but I've never felt the desire to pick this up, so it's probably going to stay in this Unhaul pile. Also have this random Charlie Bone and the Time Twister book that, again, I've had on my shelf for years. Never going to read this series. This is like book 2 in this series. That's just like a rip-off of Harry Potter back when Harry Potter was first being, you know, coming out, and I think it was like 2 or 3 books into Harry Potter, and people were writing books very similar to that, and yeah, not going to pick this up. Don't even know where this came from at this point. And then the last book that I finally have in this haul is this book is Full of Spiders by David Wong. This is actually the sequel to, what was it? The John Dies at the End, which I don't have, not going to read. Don't know, again, where this came from. I think it was another random Book Outlet purchase that I threw in the cart and picked up. I need to stop doing that again. I'm getting rid of this book. So yeah, guys, that is it for this really long unhaul, but I just feel so good that I'm just getting rid of these books and purging because I need more room. I don't want my shelves to look as cluttered anymore, and these are just books that I just know I'm not going to read. So I need to get rid of them, pass them along, donate them to the library or whatever. And yeah, so that is it, guys, for this unhaul. I'm probably going to end up like going through my shelves within the next couple of months and like picking out more books that I just know I'm not going to read, but that'll come later. Yeah, so that is it. I have no other thing to say about this. Thank you guys all again for watching, and I will see you all next time.